sekai shagen. Gosh. Okay, so Wi-Fi got messed up. The Wi-Fi was messing up, so we're gonna make part 2 of this video. Hopefully it doesn't mess up again. Or we just gonna have to film the reaction, but I don't have space on my phone, so I gotta leave a bunch of stuff to do that. But anyways, let's continue, man. Let's continue. I hope you're watching these streams afterwards after I put them up.
Formally introduces us to Ashford Academy.
Yep, they're coming for the school's next.
Called it. Story. It becomes very blatant later on in the series that the characters are only teenagers because the writer needed to stick them in high school.
Yeah, that's true.
Ashford Academy will continue to act as a central hub for 90% of the conflict in this anime. This is demonstrated well when it turns out that one of the terrorists who Zero commanded in Shinjuku actually attends the school under the name Callan Stadfeld. Out of nowhere, she's appointed to the student council, which just so happens to be made up of all the central characters. After Lelouch slips
that's because that's the people who
Callan,
Lelouch cares about.
She suspect him as being Zero. Keep in mind that Clovis's death is being investigated, and his general has just been captured on suspicion of treason. But then the anime cuts right to a school party with champagne being poured.
Hey man,
right out of an
it's comic relief.
Callan gets champagne all over her shirt.
It's comic relief, man. Like, stop hating. Have some fun, bro. You're really fun at parties, my guy.
Callan that he is, in fact, not Zero. After bringing her clothes while she showers, they talk, and he's about to leave until the phone rings. Zero is on the phone, and Callan speaks to him, which absolves Lelouch. What really happened is that Lelouch pre-recorded himself and Geass his maid Sayako to call the room. This is a fucking terrible plan, as the only reason it works is because Callan tells Lelouch not to leave the room. How Lelouch could have predicted that this would happen is not explained.
I mean, even then,
his entire plan hinging on this,
he could just answer the phone, right? Say, hey, someone's here for you.
Further,
so either way, it would have worked.
The phone, as the recording likely wouldn't have started until he handed the phone over. There's no real guarantee that Callan would have told him to stay, which is the real problem here.
Not really.
Also,
I mean, he could just told. He could just went to the phone and
there's a pretty good reason that Callan
said,
has such large breasts. More on this later. As you can see with this episode, not only does it showcase tonal disparity by going from the serious topic of death to talking about the size of a character's breasts and colorful high school parties, it also shows
I can see that, but
Lelouch's plans probably aren't as good as he thinks they are, and that the school is nothing more than a spot for all the characters to meet so there can be tension.
And that's every anime. Like, every anime has kind of a... Not every anime, but, well, lots of animes and lots of TV shows have, like, stuff where...
Further down the shitter, has Suzaku justifying his motives behind joining the Britannian army after they invaded Japan.
Have stuff where,
he's framed for the murder of Clovis,
like,
by the government and tortured.
The people can meet up together.
Because testimony from Lloyd and Cecile on his whereabouts is thrown out for no real reason. His status as an honorary Britannian, which means
hold on, we gotta pause this.
Makes him easily
I gotta come for this dude's next.
murder that they can't solve, so they have to pin it on someone.
Bro, the reason why it's not for no reason why they don't believe him. Why they don't believe him. The reason why they don't believe him is simply obvious, because he's 11. It's racism, right? You sound like you're a okay guy, but you sound like kind of like low-key like one of them guys who they say like, okay, you sound one of them guys where it's like, man, things are better now. Like, they're not as bad. It seems like you want them guys to say, well, things are better now. People, I don't see why black people are still like saying all this and that. Bro. Listen, man. It's racism, right? They don't care. Like, that's why it's not just for no reason. It sounds stupid that they'll do that, but that's the point. It's stupid that they won't listen to the evidence. You know what I'm saying? It's stupid that they won't listen to Lloyd and them. But that's the point. It's supposed to show their racism. That's the point. So, Come on, son. Gotta come harder, my guy. Gotta do better. All right. Let's continue.
Jeremiah Gottwald is in charge of this all and is the victim of another contrivance. Let's explain exactly how this is contrived. If the problem from the writer's perspective was Suzaku's imminent trial and conviction for the murder of Clovis, and the solution was Zero saving Suzaku so he wouldn't be executed for the murder of Clovis, how does one bridge the gap between the problem and the solution? The smartest choice here would have been to not have this problem in the first place. Suzaku clearly didn't do it based on his whereabouts at the time, and all the rancid shit-cake logic in this episode could have been avoided. But the dumbest choice, and the one the writer went with, was to have Jeremiah televise his transport of...
You misinterpreted Jeremiah's plan. That's what it says on the screen. You're trash!
That we see a strange element within Code Geass. Whenever the writing tries to swallow its own cock, you'll have a character point out how stupid it's become. Here, Jeremiah televising this event gives Zero a perfect chance to strike because he'll know their location. Valletta comments on this because she's right, and Jeremiah, who was previously incapacitated by Callan and Lelouch in a nightmare ambush, says that there's no need to worry because he'll be transporting Suzaku with his Sutherland mech. Lo and behold, they're attacked by Zero and forced into a hostage situation because Zero is carrying a bomb that everyone else believes to be poison gas. Suzaku knows it isn't and tries to tell them, but he has a shock collar on so he can't speak. By this time, Lelouch has already Geassed Jeremiah into attacking his own men and letting him escape. This is why this is contrived. Because of all the fucking options the writing had available to it, from escorting Suzaku privately to military court, to setting up a trap to ambush Zero, they decided to make a spectacle of it and give Lelouch an incredibly unnatural path to saving Suzaku. The worst part is,
it's a melodrama.
is almost aware of how stupid this is because Valletta comments on it, but it uses Jeremiah's arrogance as justification for these events to happen. There's being arrogant and there's being stupid. And Jeremiah's
not really.
reaction to
It's about the same thing.
When
Look at Vegeta.
Gets there just makes him an incompetent buffoon. See what I'm saying about Lelouch's plans? They all hinge on the other side being crippled by such stupidity or context-specific coincidences so much thus far that it's hard to call him smart. But this episode isn't done yet. There's more abhorrent writing to witness. After Suzaku is saved by Zero, Zero offers him a spot in their group.
That's not true.
But Suzaku declines, citing Clovis's death and the risk to civilians that Zero's group is responsible for. Suzaku says that he's going to change Britannia from the inside. And this moment, right here, is where all hope was lost for Code Geass, Lelouch of the Rebellion.
That makes Suzaku dumb, not the show.
Good writing could save a series with a character this flawed. This
he's supposed to be
the
flawed.
Point of no return. Suzaku begins to leave, and Zero asks him where he's going. Suzaku says that he's going back to face his charges in military court.
He's
Zero,
supposed to be
a mentally sound human being, says that they've already rigged the fucking court.
Suzaku's supposed to be a deconstruction of the idealistic shonen dumb protagonist.
Idiot, and says he'll die. Suzaku says he doesn't mind.
Yeah, that's not
Kururugi
that
is,
bad.
As you've just learned, and will continue to see through the remainder of this video, the most stupid character to ever exist in an anime.
He's not badly written, though.
He wants to change Britannia from within, which is a noble gesture, but one that he'd already have failed at if the plot didn't need him alive. He was shot by his superiors for simply questioning them. Now he's being framed for a murder he didn't commit. How the fuck can you change anything if you're fucking dead, you dumb cunt?
Hey man, listen.
For such people.
Listen.
In addition,
that's a flaw in his character. The show.
In any real danger because it was a bluff. The only person
it's on purpose. He's a deconstruction of the idiot protagonist.
Bear in mind, Suzaku works
that
for
usually
the army,
takes over
and
net
they're at
mecha
war
shows.
with terrorists. People are going to die because that's what war is.
Yep.
He doesn't seem to understand this, and that's something that will continue to plague this character and subsequently this entire show, because if it isn't obvious by now, there is no conflict here. Suzaku being a goddamn idiot and not realizing how stupid he is the only reason these two characters are fighting. Alright, now, I think...
Let's do this.
Oh, they both had to add at the same time. Usually that has to add. Hopefully this doesn't get me copyrighted. You know, this whole commercial. Let me talk over this so I don't get copyrighted from this commercial. I know I'm gonna get copyrighted from this video because this is his video. This is a random YouTube video. He better not copyright me.
Suzaku and Zero need to conflict. So using this series' logic, what would be the best way to box these characters into a conflict? If you guessed, put Suzaku in the school, because otherwise there would be no reason for Suzaku and Zero, or Lelouch, to meet outside of the battlefield, then you're right. What you'll also see a lot of in Code Geass are patterns like
milk.
The series is predictable in its bad writing. If the series wants to introduce a character, it'll usually do it in the most lazy way possible. If the series needs characters to develop, it'll have these disputes in the school, no matter how dumb they are. If there is a serious moment occurring, you can bet your ass that the anime is about to ruin that with a tone shift.
I kind of don't like that,
Very
but
stupid logic being thrown around, a character will chime in with how stupid it is. If a character is told to do something for their own well-being, they will not do it at all. Or alternatively, if a character is told not to do something, they'll do it anyways. And if you see that a character may ruin the plot by actually thinking with their brains, their progress will come to a halt.
Mo
The
is
next
dead.
few episodes feature Euphemia being introduced by
No, that was not good. Miles should have been dead the first time, but
to develop Suzaku as a character,
it was cool when he came back because we got that awesome
in an
plan.
episode where the serious topic of addiction is
Lelouch
explored,
did.
Jeremiah nearly being killed because he didn't eject from Sutherland when Valletta told him to, and one of my favorites, Lloyd absolutely destroying Suzaku's horrendous logic for not wanting to kill people.
Once again, that's the flaws of their characters. Jeremiah's arrogant, who's a hypocrite,
that would belong
and
in a good series, but they're overshadowed quickly by the series shitting all over your face.
and he's a deconstruction
And having Toto being introduced strongly, the series does exposition
of
in an
an idiot
way
protagonist.
via a news report,
That doesn't make the
and
show
there's
bad.
proper reference of characters for later introduction, but then Code Geass goes back to its strange ways. In one of the most bizarre scenes,
Yeah,
ever,
that was pretty bad.
who
That
had
was pretty
something
bad. Nina being her meat.
infatuated
I gave you
is
that.
seen masturbating to her using the edge.
But
of
hey,
a
maybe it was
table.
foreshadowing to
Fuck. This is never referenced again.
To,
He begins using a hard cut from another scene.
her
that
being
has
a weirdo.
absolutely nothing to do with this. Then it hard cuts to another scene like this never happened. And best of all, Nunnally walks in after Nina is done doing the deed, but because she's blind, she can't tell what's happening. Someone legitimately thought that this would be a good idea to write and animate, although I can't be surprised, as this episode is a 1-2 punch, because it also introduces Mao.
Dang.
And with that,
Mao's like the
time
best
to start
character in the
talk
series,
about
bro.
Even more major contrivances this series pulls out of its own ass.
You know, he looks like a Yu-Gi-Oh
Obviously,
character.
it would be bad if people knew who Zero was, which is why he keeps his identity a secret to the Black Knights. Valletta is eventually the one who puts 2 and 2 together and figures out that Lelouch has something to do with all this. She uses Shirley as bait to try and find out what his role in the Black Knights is. Shirley is a horrible character. Calling her a character is a compliment. I often complain about how the women in Sword Art Online cannot develop because they are constantly talking about Kirito and not themselves.
I really
Same
don't
case
know.
here, because while I can't be 100%,
I mean, she's a high school girl.
I'm almost certain
High school girls do that.
every single line, and I mean every single line that Shirley has, is about Lelouch. It's one
True.
thing to be in love, but it's an entirely different thing to only exist to lick dick and to serve as tension bait for the plot and writing. Shirley finds out
True.
that Lelouch is zero, and
See,
Valletta
guys,
says
I'm
that
admitting
she's
he's
going to
right about
turn
some
him
stuff,
in
but
and
Code
get
Geass is still
promotion.
amazing, bro.
However, Valletta soon realizes, like we all must have, that she is far too smart a character and that her progress must be stopped because otherwise the series blows up if Cornelia Lee Britannia, the new viceroy of Area 11, finds out that her thought-to-be dead brother Lelouch is actually Zero. Shirley shoots Valletta, and Valletta gets amnesia.
Now that's
Yes,
dumb.
that's right.
I don't know if that's
Valletta
possible.
is shot in the stomach and gets amnesia.
That is dumb.
You see what I'm talking about?
That is
This
pretty
shit.
dumb.
A character got too close to the truth, so now they must be stopped and reset while the plot continues. Except Code Geass is so incompetent that it can't even do this correctly. I don't know how many people have gotten amnesia from being shot in the stomach, but I imagine that this.
But I think it's from blood loss.
Very low.
They're more than
So
just
low
shot in the
that
stomach,
you
though.
have to be aware as a writer that this is so inconceivable that it's garbage. I guess not. Someone may pose the argument that she hit her head or that she fell off the pier, but we never see this. A character gets amnesia, and their head is never once shown hitting any surface.
You came back down to do the...
This only gets even more and more ludicrous
Oh,
as
you
the
came up
series
here.
introduces this Mao fucker.
Okay.
Mao was given Geass by C2 previously, but she left him
Oh,
because he
well,
couldn't fulfill the Geass contract. Because Mao used his Geass too much, he
Yeah,
has
ain't that
overtaken
there,
him
though.
entirely and is constantly in use. He can hear people's thoughts. Mao convinces Shirley that she's a killer and that she
I
must
don't know.
kill
Kinda
Lelouch.
is.
Now, Mao has a gun on Lelouch and threatens to kill him if Shirley doesn't. This is a death no matter what situation, right? Wrong. Dead fucking wrong.
Okay.
Even though this idiot has a gun in his hand, he leaves the area to go back into a train car to grab a shotgun to kill Lelouch with, which allows C2 to lock him in and send him off.
Yeah.
Like I said, the series is predictable in its bad writing, and if anyone gets too close to exposing Lelouch or killing him, the series will flip the idiot switch on them and stop them. I'd now like to take a moment to talk again about Lelouch's plans. I feel like the examples I mentioned, while indicative of a reliance on
most
context
characters
could be expanded upon.
are saved by other characters because they're not showing them as being overpowered.
Because Mao's Geass
They have to be put in a
constantly
situation
being
that's
used and
dangerous.
drives him insane whenever he has to hear the thoughts of everyone, he brings her to an empty amusement park. Before Mao chops up C2 with a chainsaw, Lelouch appears on a screen. Yes, that's right. Lelouch has become a hacker out of the blue.
Because he's smart.
After he gets Mao riled
Like,
up, Mao
what?
begins hearing
Like,
voices
did we really need to see that?
It's
Like,
the
did
police. In the
does it-
distance, he sees Lelouch picking up C2. It turns out
Does
that
it
the
matter?
conversation
Like-
Lelouch had with Mao
like, you-
was
I guess to you,
pre-recorded.
it doesn't really matter. We didn't really need to see
All
him
his
hacking
responses
into it.
And even the timing. He then contacted and Geassed an entire police force into coming to the
That's
amusement
because
park
Mao's
and shooting
mindset
Mao.
is pretty simple
So to
and
tally
Lelouch
that
is
all
smart.
up, he becomes a video
Like-
hacker despite having no prior experience that the audience is aware of. He finds a large number of cops and Geass.
Well, I mean,
Then
if
returns
you want to be
the
fair,
amusement
he
park
doesn't have
because
any
he has
prior
been
experience being a
500 meters
strategist in
away
general.
to combat the rage of Mao's Geass.
He's just smart.
Not only does Lelouch's plan rely on the convenient, albeit justifiable temperament of Mao, the impeccable timing of his own pre-recorded video, where he predicts not only the timing, but the things Mao will be talking about, but it also relies on teleportation, because we're never shown Lelouch moving around to any of these places where he has to do this, except the unknown location where he hacked into for the video for Mao. That's a considerably long distance to travel, considering that the conversation between Mao and C2 and Mao and Lelouch was less than 10 minutes. This is what happens during the bulk of Lelouch's plans that don't take place on the battlefield.
That's true.
They may seem decent at first.
They should be explained a little bit more.
But they crumble upon inspection as the strong reliance on the characters being dumb or Lelouch being nearly omniscient becomes apparent. What is easily Lelouch's best plan was when he fought Mao for the last time, when he Geassed himself into not remembering
Yeah,
his own
that was
plan,
super dope.
so Mao couldn't hear his thoughts. You'll note This is the only time Lelouch ever uses his powers against Mao in a way that his Geass actually overrides Mao's. This is because, plain and simple, a character like Mao should not exist. With his Geass, he is tremendously overpowered, and it takes 3 encounters to finally kill this guy, one of which was flat out horseshit. At the end of the day, the series managed to find a way to beat him by finally truly outsmarting him, but at what cost? The damage he does to the story wasn't worth it, because Mao's concept as a character and his very existence where he serves as a cautionary tale for Lelouch could have been portrayed many other ways. For example, Lelouch simply could have asked if C2 made a contract with anyone else and what had happened to
Dang, these some legitimate flaws, bro.
Does as a character
it's just that I kind of knew this stuff, but when you really put it out there,
the series tells us that
hate,
Geass was
it sucks.
In use.
It's
also,
strong, though. That's a strong word.
By the police and seemingly killed, but he returns, citing the advances in medical.
Yeah, like again, that's pretty dumb.
Don't forget either of these things.
But it is a supernatural, it is a superficial world, but I ain't really like that.
Really when the shit hits the fan in terms of
I ain't like that. I ain't like that either, man. Don't get me wrong.
From things being outright contrived to characters flat out saying that things are stupid are on full display. This is also when I believe the true intent behind Code Geass begins to rear its ugly head. Suzaku continues to prove himself to be an imbecile as he makes the argument that it's pointless to go against society. Society in this case is Britannia. He also says that a force that accepts the change and tries to shift things from within is the only true way to go about things. We've already been over this, but let's pick apart this logic.
Yeah, that's just his character.
Suzaku has already nearly been killed twice in his quest to change Britannia from within. How he's going to change Britannia is never once mentioned because no one ever asks him what his plan is. You'd think that if you die and your people are still oppressed, you've solved absolutely nothing.
His plan?
The series never asks this question of Suzaku. Instead, Suzaku just says he'd be glad to be dead because it's better to be dead than to break the rules. This is an Ouroboros of the most fucking awful reasoning and motivation I have ever seen.
Yeah, he's pretty dumb. His plan is just to figure it out as he goes.
By adapting to change. But if said blatantly corrupt Britannia kills you...
But that's not really a flaw of the show, that's a flaw in him.
No one with a brain could be this stupid. I forgot to mention that Suzaku actually killed his own father in the hopes that Japan could be a peaceful nation after surrendering to Britannia.
People are that stupid.
Not only does this make him a massive hypocrite, but the series doesn't care, as we'll see later.
Wait, what?
This all comes to a head when Suzaku has Zero captured, and Britannian officials decide to bomb the entire area to get rid of Zero. This would kill Suzaku as well, and Lelouch cannot comprehend how Suzaku can be this stupid as to obey the rules when they'll just end in his own death. To be fair, I don't think anyone could comprehend this. This
that's kind of the point.
Having to Geass Suzaku to want to stay alive.
That's his character, man.
Think about that.
He's a deconstruction
Suzaku
of the idiot, dumb,
suicidal
shonen hero.
Piece of shit that he has to be forced into wanting to live. If the series had explored his suicidal tendencies stemming from his father's death, as originally brought up in the Mao episode, perhaps this wouldn't be that bad. But his continued rejection of Zero's philosophy for taking down Britannia makes all of this impossible to swallow. It should be noted that they're stuck in place here because of a device called the Geass Disturber, and it basically stops nightmares from working. When the bombs are about to drop on Lelouch and Suzaku, Callan says that she has to save Zero, but is warned that if she goes down there, the Geass Disturber will freeze her too.
Yeah.
So, what would a rational person do?
She loves Zero, bro. She considers Zero like
Callan should shoot
the person she loves
to free Zero and Suzaku so they're clear of the bomb radius. You're wrong. If you answered Callan should go into the zone just to be disabled and killed, You're right.
I mean, it wasn't very bright, but she loves Zero to the point where she'll do anything for him. Once again, not stupid to show. It's just a flawed character. I think
Suzaku, they both have been killed, and
he just doesn't really like it because the characters are so overtly flawed. But that's like the point of their characters. Their characters are just so flawed. They're so like.
And because she's a moron and Suzaku's an idiot, she's tricked into revealing that no one really knows what Zero's identity is.
Not really. That was a pretty good trick Suzaku used.
Terrible character.
Nah,
Better than Shirley,
that was smart.
But not by any
that was pretty smart what
measure.
Suzaku did.
She legitimately only exists so she can hold the idiot ball and look good while doing it. On second thought, she may be worse than Shirley, only because her character is more developed and meant to be taken more seriously, but she's still caught up in all these fan service moments, and the series even turns her a bit tsundere at times. It should be no surprise that a conversation between her and Suzaku makes no sense whatsoever and barely even sounds like a conversation, in the sense that it's two characters with conflicting ideologies pleading their cases against one another.
Yeah.
But one side is clearly wrong, one side is clearly right, but the side that's right just gives up and stops pressing the other side.
It's because
for no real reason.
Her side is right,
Point A and point B.
but Zaku is not wrong from saying like you'll feel like empty inside, right? Like her side is the one that will actually work, but even though she knows that,
to point B. Unfortunately,
it's still the fact that Zaku brought up a good point. Like, what would you be left with at the end? You'll feel empty inside. You know what I'm saying?
Mao when he calls Suzaku a murderer after hearing Suzaku's thoughts. If a character as despicable as that is piling on what a shit person you are for your general hypocrisy,
that's not true.
How would a character like Callan, who is dumb and headstrong but not malicious, understand it? The answer the series gives us is Suzaku explaining that he killed his father, but Callan not reacting in the way you'd expect a rebel fighter to react. She does attempt to understand, but then gives up when they begin to question the meaning of individual lives in the scheme of a war.
I don't think she gave up. I think she just got sad.
Already be versed in, but always resets his brain on the topic. Idiot. Suzaku's lunacy only continues in later episodes when he tries telling former Japanese officials who try waging war on Britannia how to behave. Here's this repulsive cunt who knows nothing of war, barely knows.
Tell your biggest problem with Code Geass is Zaku being an idiot.
Of what it means.
Zaku's an idiot, bro. We agree on that. I think us Code Geass fans, most of us agree.
Pencil-thin cocks, and we've gotten 2 straight episodes of serious topics. The anime cool stays
they're cool,
down
bro. That's why they're
festival episode. Because the direction in this show is the absolute shit.
It's the lightheartedness before the darkness.
The beloved princess comes to the school festival wearing sunglasses and a hat. It's only after the hat is removed by a gust of wind that people realize it's Euphemia. I'm not sure how the pink hair didn't give it away immediately. This begs the question if anyone notices the color of anyone's hair. Euphemia announces the special...
Yeah, exactly. Anime, they don't really call it nobody's hair color. That's not anything, bro.
Basically, Britannia will recognize Japanese citizens as more than just colonized individuals and grant them special privileges and rights. This concept busts a gigantic hole in Lelouch's rebellion.
Yeah.
The best thing Zero ever did, and a plan that I can actually call great, was establishing the Order of the Black Knights as allies of justice. If Britannia treats 11s like shit and commits unjust crimes towards them, the Black Knights swoop in and save the day. For a long time, this worked, and it was the only reason that the Black Knights being terrorists was justified in the eyes of most of the public.
Yep.
But now, if Britannia promises the Japanese equality, what purpose do the Black Knights serve?
Yep.
And would the public sour on them if they continued attacking Britannia? Lelouch arrives at the ceremony for the specially administered zone and speaks to Euphemia. This is the moment when the series loses its fucking mind and stops caring about anything that could make it a competently told story. Lelouch says he plans on getting Euphemia to shoot him in order to turn the public against her.
It was for the point of like drama.
Euphemia then tells Lelouch that she's giving up her name and her right to succeed the throne. Lelouch becomes convinced of her resolve to help the Japanese people and admits loss to leukemia. And then he jokes that if he really wanted to, he could have made her.
Yeah, he has a dark sense of humor because of his past.
That if he told her to kill all the Japanese, she'd have done it. And there it is. Lelouch's Geass finally reaches its critical point.
Yeah, it's not really badly written. I just don't like it because it's just so overtly dark,
against the Japanese, and the army.
And it's just unnecessarily just.
This was foreshadowed with Mao.
Tries to make Lelouch more flawed.
Ridiculously convenient time that there's no way but to consider it contrived bullshit.
Nah, not really.
Admitted loss, and everyone perhaps would have had a happy ending. His Geass consumes him. And not only that, but it consumes him in a way to where Euphemia ends up doing exactly what the plot needed, turning her against the public and setting up the Black Knights to be saviors.
But they basically like it didn't really come out of nowhere because they pretty much like
which makes Suzaku go berserk
foreshadowed the plot device.
You remember that lasting damage I said Mao had? This is the cherry on top of the sundae. Mao was shot by police and recovered soon after with the advances that medical technology had made, he claimed. Euphemia is in a treatment facility surrounded by doctors
I see what you mean.
and dies. If it wasn't obvious by now that this series doesn't give a shit about any sort of consistency, here we are.
Yeah, that's a good
Suzaku
point.
confronts Lelouch about this. Lelouch says he doesn't have the time to argue about which of the two is the bigger hypocrite. At first, I believed the series knew how dumb this fucking line was, as if it were commenting on how poorly written these two characters are within the context of their world. But then I realized that the series isn't aware at all.
About what?
What's going on here and what's been happening with all these lines that seem like a character will point out something obviously wrong or stupid about the writing is that the series thinks that it isn't an issue. The series makes sure to cover its bases by acknowledging that there may be an issue or that someone may be a moron, but it always gets justified in one way or another.
No.
For Jeremiah,
it's just that
arrogant and obsessed with the limelight. When Cecile comments on what a carefree school
I'll talk about it in a
characters go to, where they have welcoming parties for cats, it's all done after school, so they're still technically learning. And here, when Lelouch acknowledges that they're both hypocrites, the series legitimately believes there's no issue at all with Suzaku's ass-backwards ideology that resets itself whenever necessary. You can at least make the argument that Zero is a bad guy and hypocrisy should come second nature to a terrorist like him who only cares about
I got a question.
But this doesn't
How do you know that?
Suzaku.
They don't.
Of truth arrives
They don't
Suzaku
say.
finally
Okay.
finds out that Zero is.
Yeah, that cliffhanger was not good
This
either.
is the reason that Code Geass is such an absolutely horrendous anime. It's a gigantic point A and point B scenario. If point A is two characters being friends at a young age, and point B is an epic confrontation between these two characters years later,
I love that
where
conversation.
there are themes of deception, how do you get from point A to point B? Every single contrivance has led us to this moment in R1 because the bridge from point A to point B shouldn't exist. These characters shouldn't be fighting at all. The series
they are both.
So much
They shouldn't be fighting.
Being stupid and so many other
that's just a flaw of who they are. It's not really a
sticking them in the
bad
same
writing.
School, military officials being inept, regular individuals being idiots,
characters'
memories being wiped, and ultra-convenient timing of special powers, that the entire story is a load of fucking shit.
That's
Before
wild.
we're done here, I want to mention that C2 kissed Lelouch before sacrificing herself to kill Jeremiah, who was trying to kill Zero, and that Callan also found out that Lelouch was Zero and had a mental breakdown because Zero was just using them. Except, it was already revealed that Zero wasn't Japanese many episodes ago.
But once again,
Zero was said to be
she was obsessed with Zero.
Britannia, but he wasn't Japanese. So what is the conclusion that any sound person should come to? Obviously, he's using the Black Knights to further his own goals, as he isn't Japanese and doesn't share in their particular conflict against Britannia. Now, believe it or
Nah,
not,
because
Callan is actually the biggest reason I hate this show.
Okay.
Or, better said, the concept of a character like Callan is.
so while we got a chance to talk, right? I forgot what I just was about to say because he just said a bunch of stuff. Okay, basically, man, your biggest problem with the series is Colin, uh, being fan service and Suzaku being a hypocrite. And I disagree that the show doesn't see nothing wrong with the way they act, because if they didn't see nothing wrong with the way they act, I don't think they would point out. And it's obvious flaws for the way they act. It's like I'm trying to think, why does he think that the series doesn't think it's not good that they act that way? I think the series thinks, I get what he's trying to say, right? But I think he's misinterpreting. I think the series doesn't care that as a bad thing, because the series considers like that character flaws, right? Like Geass, I don't feel like goes out of his way to really make the characters like normally likable. Like Deku, he's likable because he's tough and he's a nice guy. He likes to save people. Geass is like, characters are flawed. They'll commit murder and kill innocent people. But I think that's pretty much the point. That is pretty much the point. They're supposed to be like extremely flawed people. They're supposed to be like seen as very you're supposed to see like good sides of them, but also horrible sides of them at the same time. So I think you're really misinterpreting that. Like that they doesn't really see that as a bad thing, is because that's kind of like what it was going for. It was kind of going for tragic, dark characters. I guess you don't like them type of characters. Um, I guess I can see that. You know, Yuffie thing. I mean, yeah, it was convenient, but I mean, they did set it up. They did foreshadow. It's not like it came out of nowhere. They literally stated before. I mean, it's entirely possible that Mao just was part of the story, and they was like, oh yeah, we gotta make it seem like Mao was actually important, and we'll just put this in there. It's possible, but I mean, they still used something that they had established a long time ago. I can see that pretty good writing. Um, Geass isn't perfect, man. It isn't. The Yuffie thing, that is a pretty good point. That is a pretty good point. You know, um, I can't really take that away. That's a pretty good point. How did Mao, survive, but she didn't? That's a pretty good point. I mean, the way it looked up, Mao like barely survived because he was covered in bandages. That's a good point, though. Yeah, that's a very good point. That's true. That's pretty dumb. Yeah, I never really liked that Mao thing. But hey, even though that was pretty contrived, it still led to some good things. Um, you know, us people who already feel like Suzaku was not good at character, we got some more stuff from Suzaku. We learned about his father. We had that epic plan of what he did against Mao, which is, this probably is his top 2 best plans he ever has. That and trying to think of another plan. The zero thing was pretty great too. No people say that's contrived too because it's like a million zeros. Wait, let's wait until R2 for that. We'll watch R2. Let's watch the R2 one too. Okay, this is 43, 30. Okay.
Poorly written shows come and go. Code Geass is certainly no exception. I think it could only be worse if it was written by Reki Kawahara and directed by Masato Matsune, but I could let that all pass. It'd still be a terrible anime critically, but I wouldn't personally dislike it as much as I currently do. What drives most of my hatred for Code Geass was the intent for its creation and writing, because this writing is only as bad as it is because it's my belief that Code Geass was written fully with the intent of being cool and nothing else. Code Geass is about politics as much as it's about mechs, which is to say it's not about either. When boiled down to its most basic elements, R1 is a revenge story that drops us into its world at a point of interest.
Yeah,
previously there was
that's
a
true.
war, and now
That's
will
true.
be a rebellion. There's
It is
a
a
world
revenge
chock
story.
full of characters with pre-established motives and stories, and now they're going to come together and face new threats, all while entangled in the plans of an outside source, that being Zero.
Yeah.
I believe that, given the way the writing portrays these characters and their designs, that Code Geass is meant to do nothing but dazzle its audience with its edgy characters and cool fights. This is the reason most
It's a
people love
melodrama.
it, but the reason I hate it. Its
Yeah.
symbolism is hollow, its commentary on social issues.
So it's just
is
kind of
basic,
personal preference
and this
because
is a word I avoided using
Code Geass
until now,
is like
but Code Geass is simply a pretentious series. And oddly, but appropriately enough, this is the reason that Callan has such large breasts. Taking a look at any official Code Geass art book
Is there any more? Any more?
would have you believe that it's an ecchi harem starring an
Okay, yeah. Anyways, okay, so basically, Code Geass, like I said before, is a melodrama. And so it does things very over the top and dramatically, like he just said. And that's what he doesn't like about it. Like, Code Geass is very over the top and dramatic. I don't feel like it tries too hard to be deep. I think it is deep. It's very clear, great messages, I believe so. It is over the top. That is kind of the point. I don't think it was just written just to be cool though. I disagree with that. I don't agree with that at all. I can see misinterpreting that I guess. But yeah, that was a pretty good video actually. I won't leave a like on this video once again because he's hating on Code Geass, and I can see why some people like Code Geass. It's kind of like the characters, the character flaws. Like they don't like the super overly flawed characters. I can get that. But most things he said weren't really the plot, really. I mean, honestly, Code Geass doesn't really have much plot. It's kind of like Dragon Ball Z. Doesn't really have much plot. Things happen, but there's not really a lot of plot. I don't think. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like, that's like I said, you see that's why a lot of people love it, and that's why I don't like it. One thing I don't agree that that's all it's trying to do, trying to be cool. It's like, it kind of just has a particular taste to it, but we'll get into R2 one day and talk about that, his R2 one. Because he has some good points, you know? A lot of them were misinterpreted or, in ways, but he has a lot of good points. Yeah, man. Peace, like, subscribe, check out his video. You know, he probably does plenty of stuff like this. Seems like he does his channel kind of like the Hate On series. Which I mean, you know, you doing some pretty good stuff, some pretty good editing. You know what I'm saying? Peace, like, subscribe, Allah. All hell loose still though. I don't